Right now, at this very moment, specialized breeding facilities across North America are raising over 2 billion ladybugs every single year. That is not 2 million or 200 million. 2 billion individual insects, each one carefully bred, fed, and prepared for deployment into fields, greenhouses, and orchards, where they will devour aphids, scale insects, and other crop-destroying pests. These tiny spotted beetles, each no larger than a sunflower seed, represent the front line of biological pest control in modern sustainable agriculture. But how do you breed billions of insects in controlled environments? What do ladybugs eat during their breeding cycle? And how do farmers keep them alive and productive? And why are organic growers and conventional farmers alike increasingly turning to these living pest control systems instead of chemical sprays? Welcome to AgriCraft, where we explore the innovations transforming American agriculture and sustainable farming practices. Today, we are entering the fascinating world of industrial insect breeding, where cutting-edge agriculture technology meets natural biology in facilities that operate more like high-tech laboratories than traditional farms. This is beneficial insect production at massive scale, a farming documentary unlike any other, where the crop is not plants but predatory beetles that protect crops worth billions of dollars annually. All will be revealed in this video. Ladybugs, properly called lady beetles or ladybird beetles, have been recognized as beneficial predators for centuries. European farmers in the Middle Ages noticed that these colorful insects congregated wherever aphids threatened crops, and they attributed crop protection to divine intervention, hence the name lady beetle after the Virgin Mary. But it was not until the late 1800s that agricultural scientists began seriously investigating ladybugs as biological control agents. The most famous early success story happened in California in 1888, when the state's citrus industry faced devastation from cottony cushion scale insects. Albert Kubele, an entomologist working for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, traveled to Australia and returned with the Vidalia beetle, a species of ladybug that fed exclusively on cottony cushion scale. Within 2 years of release, the ladybugs had brought the pest completely under control, saving California's citrus industry and demonstrating the power of biological pest control at commercial scale. Today, the beneficial insect industry in North America generates over $100 million annually, with ladybugs representing one of the largest segments. The most commonly bred species is the convergent lady beetle, native to North America and capable of consuming up to 50 aphids per day as an adult. A single ladybug larva, even more voracious than the adult, can eat up to 400 aphids during its development. When you multiply those numbers by billions of beetles released annually, you are looking at astronomical levels of pest control without a single drop of chemical pesticide. Here is something that surprises most people. Commercial ladybug production is not actually farming in the traditional sense. Most operations do not breed ladybugs from eggs in captivity. Instead, they practice a sophisticated form of wild harvesting combined with laboratory rearing. The largest operations collect ladybugs from natural aggregation sites, where millions of beetles gather to overwinter in mountain regions, then supplement with captive breeding programs to ensure consistent supply. This hybrid approach allows producers to meet the massive demand from organic farms, conventional growers practicing integrated pest management, and home gardeners seeking chemical-free pest control. Globally, biological pest control using beneficial insects has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. Europe leads in adoption, with the Netherlands alone using billions of beneficial insects annually in greenhouse production. Japan has integrated biological control into rice farming for decades. The United States market, while growing rapidly, still represents enormous potential for expansion, as more farmers seek sustainable alternatives to synthetic pesticides that are facing increasing regulatory restrictions and consumer resistance. The majority of commercial ladybugs in North America begin their journey not in breeding facilities but in the Sierra Nevada mountains of California and similar high-elevation sites across the western United States. During late autumn, convergent lady beetles engage in remarkable mass migration behaviors, Millions upon millions of beetles leave the agricultural valleys, where they spent summer and autumn feeding on aphids, and fly to specific mountain locations. Often the same sites used for generations, where they aggregate in enormous clusters to overwinter. These aggregation sites can contain 10 million to 50 million beetles concentrated in areas no larger than a football field. The beetles cluster under leaf litter, in rock crevices, and beneath bark, entering a dormant state called diapause that allows them to survive freezing winter temperatures with minimal energy expenditure. It is these natural aggregation sites that commercial collectors target, arriving in late autumn or early spring to harvest beetles before they disperse back to lower elevations. Collection crews work with permits from land management agencies, carefully harvesting a sustainable portion of the aggregated beetles. Workers use specialized vacuums and collection nets to gather beetles into breathable mesh bags, working quickly to minimize stress and injury to the insects. A skilled crew can collect several million beetles in a single day from a productive site. The collected beetles are immediately moved to temperature-controlled storage facilities, where they remain in refrigerated conditions that maintain their dormancy until they are needed for distribution. However, wild collection alone cannot meet the growing demand for ladybugs, especially during peak spring planting season when millions of farmers and gardeners want to release beetles simultaneously. This is where captive breeding programs supplement wild collection, providing a controlled source of beetles with predictable genetics and behavior. Species selection for breeding programs focuses primarily on convergent lady beetles, but some operations also work with other species. The seven-spotted ladybug, the multicolored Asian lady beetle, and several other species are bred for specific pest control applications. Each species has different prey preferences, temperature tolerances, and behaviors, making them suitable for different agricultural contexts. Convergent lady beetles excel in outdoor field crops and orchards. Asian lady beetles tolerate cooler temperatures and work well in northern climates. Species selection is driven by customer needs and regional pest pressures. Environmental requirements for successful ladybug breeding are surprisingly specific. Temperature must be maintained between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit for optimal reproduction and development. Humidity needs to stay around 50 to 70% to prevent dehydration of eggs and larvae, while avoiding excessive moisture that promotes fungal growth. Lighting must provide 14 to 16 hours of daylight to stimulate reproductive behavior and larval feeding activity. These parameters are maintained in climate-controlled breeding rooms using sophisticated environmental control systems more commonly seen in pharmaceutical production than traditional farming. Establishing a productive breeding colony begins with selecting high-quality founding stock. Breeders choose beetles that exhibit strong feeding behavior, high reproductive rates, and good overall health. These founding beetles are placed in breeding chambers, typically clear plastic or screened enclosures that allow monitoring while containing the insects. Breeding chambers must provide everything ladybugs need to complete their life cycle. Substrate materials like corrugated cardboard or textured plastic give beetles surfaces for egg laying and larval development. Plants or artificial structures provide climbing surfaces, as ladybugs naturally seek elevated positions. And most critically, the chambers must have abundant food supply. Ladybugs are obligate predators, meaning they must consume other insects to survive and reproduce. The primary food source in commercial breeding is aphids, which must themselves be farmed in massive numbers. This creates a fascinating agricultural chain where growers cultivate plants specifically to feed aphids, which are then fed to ladybugs. Large operations maintain dedicated aphid rearing rooms filled with fava beans, wheat, or other plants heavily infested with aphids. These aphid colonies are harvested daily, with infested plant material moved directly into ladybug breeding chambers. Some operations have developed artificial diets that supplement or partially replace live aphids. These diets typically consist of proteins from eggs or insect meal, sugars for energy, vitamins, and water, blended into a paste that can be spread on surfaces within breeding chambers. While artificial diets reduce labor and improve consistency, most experts agree that ladybugs fed live prey exhibit better health and higher reproduction rates than those on artificial diets alone. Female ladybugs lay eggs in clusters of 10 to 50 eggs, typically placing them near aphid colonies so newly hatched larvae have immediate access to food. The eggs are tiny, about 1 millimeter long, yellow or orange in color, and stand upright on the surface where they are laid. A single female can lay over 1,000 eggs during her lifetime, though production varies based on temperature, food availability, and individual genetics. Quality inspection begins even at the egg stage. Breeders monitor egg-laying rates, noting which females are most productive. Eggs are examined for proper color and development. Infertile eggs or those damaged by handling appear different and are removed to prevent contamination of healthy eggs. Ladybug eggs hatch after 3 to 5 days, depending on temperature. What emerges looks nothing like the familiar round, spotted beetle most people recognize. Ladybug larvae resemble tiny alligators with elongated segmented bodies, 6 legs, and prominent mandibles for grasping and consuming prey. They are dark gray or black, often with orange or red markings, and they are absolutely voracious predators from the moment they hatch. Larval development proceeds through 4 instars, or growth stages, over approximately 2 to 3 weeks. Each instar involves a period of intense feeding followed by molting, where the larva sheds its exoskeleton to accommodate growth. First instar larvae, just hatched, are less than 2 millimeters long and can only handle small, soft-bodied prey like young aphids. By the 4th instar, larvae reach 8 to 10 millimeters and can tackle larger prey and consume dozens of aphids daily. The breeding facility environment during larval development requires constant maintenance. Temperature fluctuations of just a few degrees can slow development or increase mortality. Humidity must prevent desiccation of molting larvae while avoiding excess moisture. And food supply must be continuously replenished, as larvae cannot survive more than a day or 2 without prey. Automated systems in larger breeding facilities monitor environmental conditions constantly. Sensors track temperature and humidity in each breeding room, feeding data to climate control systems that make real-time adjustments. Some facilities use computer vision systems that photograph breeding chambers multiple times daily, using image analysis to estimate population density, development stage distribution, and feeding behavior. This agriculture technology allows managers to optimize conditions and predict harvest timing with remarkable precision. After completing their larval development, ladybugs enter the pupal stage. The 4th instar larva attaches itself to a surface, often on plant material or chamber walls, and transforms into a pupa. The pupal stage resembles a small, immobile beetle, often orange with black markings, though it is actually an inactive transformation stage. Inside the pupal case, larval tissues break down and reorganize into the adult beetle form in a process similar to butterfly metamorphosis. Pupation lasts 5 to 7 days under optimal conditions. Pupae require no food but must be protected from disturbance and predation. In natural settings, other ladybug larvae sometimes consume pupae. So breeding facilities must maintain appropriate density and provide adequate spacing to minimize cannibalism. When transformation is complete, the adult beetle emerges from the pupal case. Newly emerged adults are pale yellow or orange with soft, unhardened wing covers. Over the next day or 2, their exoskeleton hardens and develops the familiar red or orange color with black spots characteristic of most lady beetle species. These freshly emerged adults are called teneral beetles, and they are not yet ready for field release. Adult ladybugs destined for commercial sale undergo a conditioning period where they feed, mature reproductively, and prepare for the demands of field deployment. Newly emerged adults require at least 7 to 10 days of feeding before they are ready for reproduction or intensive pest control activity. During this period, they consume large quantities of aphids, building up fat reserves and developing their reproductive systems. Some operations maintain adult feeding colonies where beetles are kept at optimal temperatures with abundant food for weeks or months, allowing them to reach peak physiological condition before packaging. Others use a different strategy, collecting wild beetles from overwintering sites where they have already built up massive fat reserves during autumn feeding. These wild collected beetles can be brought out of dormancy and sold immediately, or kept in refrigerated storage for weeks or months. Storage of adult ladybugs is one of the most fascinating aspects of commercial production. Adult beetles can be kept in refrigerated dormancy at temperatures between 35 and 45 degrees Fahrenheit for several months without food. At these temperatures, their metabolism slows dramatically. Fat reserves are consumed very slowly, and they remain alive and viable. This cold storage capability allows producers to stockpile beetles during periods of high production or availability, then release them to market during peak demand periods. Temperature control during storage is absolutely critical. Too warm and beetles become active, consuming fat reserves and potentially dying from starvation. Too cold and freezing damage kills beetles outright. The optimal storage temperature of around 40 degrees Fahrenheit keeps beetles in perfect suspended animation, ready to wake and resume activity when warmed. Harvesting ladybugs from breeding chambers or collecting them from wild overwintering sites involves similar techniques focused on minimizing stress and injury while efficiently gathering massive numbers of beetles. In breeding facilities, harvest occurs when adult beetles have reached the desired age and condition, typically 1 to 3 weeks after emergence. Manual collection in small-scale operations involves gently sweeping beetles from surfaces into collection containers using soft brushes. This method ensures minimal injury but is labor-intensive and practical only for small volumes. Larger operations use vacuum collection systems specifically designed for beneficial insects. These systems use gentle suction, often air-driven rather than mechanical vacuum, to draw beetles into collection chambers without crushing or damaging them. The collected beetles move into cleaning and sorting stages where quality inspection removes dead, diseased, or damaged individuals. This process often uses gentle tumbling or vibration to separate live active beetles from inactive ones. Live beetles respond to motion by gripping surfaces or flying, allowing them to be separated from dead or moribund individuals that fall through screens or fail to respond to stimuli. Grading standards in the ladybug industry are less formalized than in traditional agriculture, but reputable producers maintain strict quality control. Premium-grade ladybugs are fully active, responsive, and show no signs of disease or damage. These command the highest prices and deliver the best pest control results. Lower grades may include higher percentages of dead beetles or individuals nearing the end of their viable lifespan. Some operations conduct remarkably sophisticated quality testing. Sample populations are tested for feeding behavior by exposing them to aphid-infested plants and observing how quickly and efficiently they locate and consume prey. Survivability testing places samples in controlled environments and monitors mortality rates over days or weeks. Reproductive testing evaluates egg-laying rates in sample groups. These quality assurance measures ensure customers receive beetles capable of delivering effective pest control. Once harvested and sorted, ladybugs enter the packaging preparation stage. For beetles destined for cold storage or immediate shipment, this means transitioning them into dormancy or maintaining them in active feeding states depending on the business model. For cold storage, beetles are gradually cooled to avoid thermal shock. They are placed in refrigerated rooms, where temperature drops slowly, from breeding room temperature to storage temperature over several hours. This gradual transition allows beetles to enter dormancy naturally without stress-induced mortality. For immediate shipping of active beetles, the challenge is maintaining them in good condition during transit. Beetles are typically placed in breathable mesh bags or ventilated containers with substrate material that provides surface area and prevents crushing. Some producers include small amounts of food, such as raisins or artificial diet pellets, to sustain beetles during shipping. Others rely on the beetle's ability to survive several days without food, especially if they were well fed before packaging. Automated systems in the largest facilities assist with counting and portioning. While it might seem impossible to count millions of individual insects, several technologies make this feasible. Some operations weigh beetles, using average individual weights to estimate numbers. Others use photographic counting systems where beetles are spread in thin layers and machine vision counts individuals and images. The most sophisticated facilities use conveyor belt systems with optical sensors that count beetles as they pass single file through scanning stations, capable of processing thousands of beetles per minute. Packaging for commercial ladybugs varies depending on whether beetles are shipped active or dormant and the target market. Retail packages for home gardeners typically contain 1,000 to 5,000 beetles in small mesh bags or ventilated plastic containers. These packages include instructions for release, storage tips, and information about expected pest control benefits. Commercial packages for large-scale agriculture contain 50,000 to 100,000 beetles in larger breathable bags, often made of cotton or specialized insect-safe fabrics. The packaging must allow air exchange while preventing escape. Some designs use fine mesh that lets air through but contains beetles. Others use breathable fabrics that wick moisture while maintaining airflow. Labeling requirements are simpler than for food products but still important. Labels indicate species, quantity, production date, and storage instructions. Many producers include release instructions optimized for different crops and climates. Some packages note whether beetles are wild collected or captive bred, as this affects their behavior and effectiveness. Cold storage and shipping logistics represent the most challenging aspects of ladybug distribution. Beetles must remain refrigerated from packaging through delivery to maintain dormancy and viability. Most producers ship using expedited delivery services with cold packs or refrigerated transport. Summer shipping is particularly challenging, as high temperatures can kill dormant beetles within hours if cold chain is broken. Distribution channels for beneficial insects include direct sales to farmers through company websites or phone orders, sales through agricultural supply stores and garden centers, and partnerships with organic certification organizations that promote biological pest control. Some of the largest producers maintain their own cold storage warehouses and delivery fleets to ensure quality through the distribution chain. Others partner with specialized biological control distributors who handle logistics and customer service. Timing of distribution follows agricultural cycles, with peak demand in spring when farmers are planting and pests are emerging. Producers ramp up breeding efforts or schedule wild collection harvests to align with this demand curve. Some operations maintain year-round breeding programs to serve greenhouse growers in southern climates where growing seasons are longer or continuous. Shipping domestic orders often uses overnight or two-day delivery with cold packs. International shipping is more complex, requiring permits, phytosanitary certificates, and special packaging to maintain viability during longer transit times. Some countries restrict imports of non-native beneficial insects, limiting international trade to specific approved species. Byproducts from ladybug breeding are minimal but interesting. Dead beetles and those culled during quality inspection are typically composted or used as protein supplements in animal feed for other beneficial insects. The aphid rearing operations that supply food for ladybugs sometimes produce excess aphids that are frozen and sold to other insect breeders or used as supplemental food in research laboratories studying insect biology. The environmental impact of commercial ladybug production and use is overwhelmingly positive. Each release of beneficial insects represents a reduction in synthetic pesticide use, decreasing toxic residues in soil and water. Ladybugs provide pest control that does not harm beneficial insects like pollinators, unlike broad-spectrum insecticides that kill indiscriminately. The breeding facilities themselves have minimal environmental footprint, operating in converted warehouses or purpose-built structures with far less land disturbance than traditional agriculture. Biological pest control using ladybugs offers economic benefits beyond sustainability. Organic farmers, who face limited pest control options, rely heavily on beneficial insects to maintain crop health without synthetic chemicals. Conventional farmers use ladybugs as part of integrated pest management programs that reduce pesticide costs while maintaining yields. Home gardeners appreciate the ability to control pests without exposing their families or pets to chemical residues. The effectiveness of released ladybugs varies considerably based on multiple factors. Release timing matters enormously. Beetles released when pest populations are low and food is scarce often disperse in search of better feeding grounds, providing little benefit. Releases timed to coincide with rising pest populations keep beetles in place and deliver maximum pest control. Environmental conditions also matter. Ladybugs are most active and effective in warm weather. Cool spring conditions or unseasonably cold periods reduce their activity and pest consumption. Retention of released beetles challenges many users. Wild collected beetles, especially those taken from overwintering aggregations, have strong tendencies to disperse after release, seeking to resume their migration patterns. Captive-reared beetles, having never migrated, show better retention but still tend to fly away if local conditions are not ideal. Strategies to improve retention include evening releases when beetles are less likely to fly, pre-watering the release area to encourage beetles to drink and stay, and releasing when pest populations are abundant so beetles find food immediately. Education and extension efforts by universities, agricultural agencies, and producers themselves help farmers use beneficial insects effectively. Proper release techniques, realistic expectations about pest control levels, and integration with other pest management strategies make the difference between success and disappointment. Many producers offer technical support and consultation to help customers achieve the best results. From the mountain aggregation sites where millions of wild ladybugs gather each winter to the climate-controlled breeding facilities where new generations are raised by the billions, commercial beneficial insect production represents agriculture technology, serving ecological farming principles at industrial scale. We have followed the complete cycle. The wild harvest operations that collect beetles from natural sites, the sophisticated breeding programs that propagate beetles in controlled environments, the careful conditioning and quality inspection that ensures viable, effective predators, and the cold storage and distribution systems that deliver billions of beetles to farmers and gardeners nationwide. We have explored the fascinating biology of these tiny predators, their remarkable appetite for aphids and other crop pests, and the agricultural chain required to feed and maintain breeding populations. We have seen how automated systems and modern agriculture technology enable operations to scale from thousands to billions of beetles while maintaining quality standards and insect health. And we have examined the packaging and distribution challenges of moving living products that require temperature control and careful handling through the supply chain. The beneficial insect industry, with ladybugs as one of its flagship products, represents the future of sustainable pest management. As consumers demand food produced with fewer synthetic inputs, and farmers seek economically viable alternatives to chemical pest control, biological control using beneficial insects grows from niche practice to mainstream agriculture. 2 billion ladybugs released annually is impressive, but it is only the beginning. As breeding techniques improve, costs decline, and farmer education increases, the potential exists for 10 billion or even 20 billion beneficial insects deployed across American agriculture. Thank you for watching this exploration of commercial ladybug production here on AgriCraft. If you found this journey into beneficial insect breeding and biological pest control fascinating, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into sustainable farming methods, innovative agriculture technology, and the future of eco-friendly food production. Have you used beneficial insects in your garden or farm? What has been your experience with biological pest control? What other sustainable agriculture topics would you like us to explore? Leave your comments below. Until next time, keep farming sustainably.